You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Burger King. Today at Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky, it's the first conference game of this SEC season. The 20th ranked Ole Miss Rebels taking on the Kentucky Wildcats, who are trying to end a 7-game home field conference losing streak. Lane Kiffin and the Rebels arrive as a considerable favorite. But that was the case last year when these two teams got together in Oxford and the Cats pulled off a stunning upset. They were down by 4, under 4 minutes to go. Went for it on 4th and 7 from their own 20. A 63-yard bomb got them to the goal line. They had good fortune there. Josh Caddis recovers the fumble in the end zone for the go-ahead score for Kentucky. Last chance for Jackson Dart. He took a sack. They had to try a 48-yard field goal from Caden Davis. It was no good. And Mark Stoops with the big win. It turned out to be Kentucky's only conference victory of the year 1 year ago. Sean McDonough along with Greg McElroy, joined in a moment by Molly McGrath. Delighted to have you with us, Greg. Obviously, that was a very costly loss for Ole Miss. They finished the regular season 9-3 and just missed the college football playoff. Mark Stoops thinks the Rebels will be a playoff team this year, despite the fact that they bring back only 4 starters. They lost Jackson Dart, among many others, but Jackson Dart's replacement is pretty talented.
Austin Simmons is special. I mean, you ask coaches, players, anyone that's watched him, he's remarkable. Has a really quick release and is pinpoint accurate. Also has a unique ability of understanding where defenders are and throwing around those defenders, like layering it up and over the top of this defender underneath the safety for a nice throw. Another guy that did that a lot, Tua Tagovailoa. Reminds me so much of Tua Tagovailoa. Also reminds Lane Kiffin, who recruited and coached Tua. Same type of throw, up and over, accurate, in stride for plenty of yards after catch. The staff for Ole Miss believes this can become an elite passing attack because of Austin Simmons' potential.
Meanwhile, Kentucky off a 4-8 season a year ago. They brought in 55 new players. That seems like a lot, but in the transfer portal day and age, it's really not. But Mark Stoops thinks they'll be better. It's going to be the same formula, play great defense and try to run the ball, and they have 2 new running backs who are going to try to help them do that.
Just try to reestablish that physical identity that Mark Stoops and Kentucky have long been known for, and the 2 guys that will help them do that today are their 2 running backs, Dante Dowdell, who's outstanding, and Seth McGowan. Both guys run extremely hard and present a level of explosiveness at the running back spot that this Kentucky team sorely lacked a year ago.
This is the 4th meeting between these 2 schools in the Lane Kiffin era. The previous 3 all decided by 3 points or less. Opening kickoff in a moment. This has been the All-State Kickoff. And we welcome you back to the All-State Kickoff. Moments away from the start of this conference season. These will be the first 2 teams to play an SEC game in 2025. The rest of the conference will get started next week. Well, we mentioned the recent history. The last 3 meetings all decided by 3 points or less. Last time Ole Miss was here, it was an overtime win for Lane Kiffin. Last year, the shocking 3-point loss is a 15.5-point favorite. An All-State Kickoff spotlight. Skies brightening. It was a rainy morning, and the temperature is cool for this time of the year on the Kentucky Bluegrass, with the temperature in the low 60s. Austin Simmons getting ready for his first road start. With more on that, here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin called Austin Simmons a child prodigy, both as a student and a quarterback. Simmons was reclassified in high school to graduate 2 years early, and then he graduated from Ole Miss back in May, and now at just 19 years old, he's pursuing his master's in sports management. And wide receiver Trey Wallace told us Simmons is wise beyond his years, has the maturity, football IQ, and poise of a seasoned veteran, and we saw that in pregame warmups. He was meticulous and locked in to his routine, and we'll see how he does here in his first SEC road start, Sean.
And he will be on the field to start the game, as Kentucky won the toss and deferred, so Lane Kiffin elected to receive the opening kickoff. Since 2020, up and down the field they have gone, but as you saw, those low-scoring games in the last 3 against the Wildcats. It hasn't been the case when he plays his good buddy, Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops is on a text chain with Lane and some other SEC coaches, and they've had a running dialogue about last year's game. And Mark Stoops said to us yesterday, I hope Lane's giving me a hard time about another Wildcat victory over Ole Miss for another year. Lane said Stoops never goes for that 4th and 7 from his own 19, but he did it. It paid off. Vandegrift to Barry on Brown for 63 yards, and they went on to pull off the huge win.
I'll even give Mark Stoops a little credit on the Lane Kiffin impression. He sounded like Lane when Lane told us the exact same thing when we met with him earlier in the week. So a little revenge on the mind of Ole Miss, I would imagine, but Kentucky trying to prove last year's game, no fluke. I think they're a different team this year.
Simmons ready to go with a new cast around him, a new running back, new wide receivers. They hope an improved offensive line. That was not a strength of the Ole Miss offense a year ago. Good atmosphere here. There's a fan base that's getting a little restless after the 4-8 season of a year ago that ended an 8-season bowl streak. Jacob Coway, strong-legged kicker, will kick off. Isaiah Hartrip is deepest for Ole Miss. Kentucky opened here a week ago with a win over Toledo. Was uninspiring against the MAC preseason favorites. They won 24-16. Ole Miss pulled away from Georgia State at home 63-7 last weekend, and it'll be a touchback.